On December 15, 1967, at 4:58 p.m., the Silver Bridge collapsed into the Ohio River. 46 people were killed. Christmas presents exploded in the water. Car headlights burned beneath the surface like drowned stars. The official cause was a crack, 1/10 of an inch long, hidden inside a single steel eyebar. But for the people of Point Pleasant, that explanation came too late, because for 13 months before the bridge fell, something else had been circling the town, watching, following, interrupting televisions, silencing dogs. A shape with wings, eyes that reflected red, a presence that arrived and then vanished when the river closed over the bridge. Tonight's case isn't about proving a monster exists. It's about what happens when fear arrives first and tragedy follows. Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Population just under 5,000. In late 1966, nothing about the town suggested it would become one of the most studied paranormal outbreaks in American history. But the events didn't begin with headlines. They began quietly. On November 12th, 5 men digging a grave watched something lift out of the trees. They didn't call it a bird. They didn't call it a man. They called it a brown human being with wings. They didn't report it until later, because 2 nights after that, something much harder to ignore happened. Newell Partridge was at home when his television went dark. Not static, not a channel change, a hum. Outside, his German Shepherd, trained, calm, became frantic. Partridge stepped into the yard with a flashlight. When the beam hit the barn, it reflected back. 2 red circles, not glowing like lights, reflecting like mirrors. When the dog ran toward them, Partridge heard a yelp. Then, nothing.
What happened to the dog, Cooper?
The dog never returned.
And there it is.
Where did the dog go? So it just vanished? I mean, the little fella's probably just fine. Don't you think, cowboy?
I'm sure he just chased a rabbit and came back later that night.
Right, probably just chasing rabbits. Well, anyway, what's important here is the order of events. The technology fails first, then the animal reacts, chasing rabbits and all. Then the visual anomaly appears. That sequence, EM interference, animal distress, visual encounter, shows up again and again in high strangeness cases. Whether you think it's paranormal or psychological, that pattern matters.
At this point, there was still no name, no legend, just disconnected moments. Until the night of November 15th. Two young couples, a black 1957 Chevy, a joyride through an abandoned munitions plant known as the TNT Area. At the old North Power Plant, the headlights caught something. 2 red eyes, 6 inches apart, attached to something tall, gray, man-shaped. 6 to 7 feet tall. Wings folded against its back. When it moved, it ran awkwardly. And then it followed them. Roger Scarberry hit the gas, reaching speeds over 100 miles an hour. The thing didn't fall behind. It glided. Its shadow passed over the car again and again. One witness heard it squeak, like a big mouse.
This is where misidentification theories start to strain. Birds don't pace cars at highway speeds. Fear can distort perception, yes, but interactive pursuit changes the psychological category of the event. Being chased is different than seeing something strange.
The creature followed them to the city limits and then vanished. The 4 witnesses drove straight to the sheriff's office. They weren't calm. They weren't speculative. They were terrified. The next morning, the headline read, "Couple sees man-sized bird, creature, something." Even the newspaper didn't know what to call it. Someone else would. The name Mothman wasn't born from folklore. It was born in a newsroom. An editor, likely joking, attached a comic book label to an event no one understood. And something changed.
This is the moment where fear becomes portable. Before the name, there are witnesses. After the name, there's a story. Once you name something, people don't just see it, they start looking for it. That doesn't mean the original event was fake. It means the psychological environment shifts.
Armed residents flooded the TNT area. Hunting rifles, flashlights. No creature was found, but sightings multiplied. Over the next year, more than 100 people reported seeing it, and the phenomenon didn't stay contained. The TNT area wasn't wilderness. It was an industrial graveyard. 8,000 acres of abandoned war infrastructure. Concrete igloos once filled with explosives. Soil later declared toxic. A place built for destruction and then abandoned.
From a rational perspective, this matters. Chemical contamination can affect wildlife behavior. Strange lighting, odd animal movement, even neurological effects are possible. But that explanation only goes so far. It doesn't explain consistency across witnesses or the broader pattern.
Because this wasn't just a creature flap. It was a window. Alongside the sightings came UFO reports, phone interference, men in black cars asking the wrong questions, poltergeist activity, and one encounter that still unsettles investigators. On November 2nd, before the first Mothman sighting, a man named Woodrow Derenberg was stopped on a highway. A craft hovered. A man stepped out. His smile was wide. Too wide. Way too wide.
What the hell?
He said his name was Indrid Cold. And then he left.
Let me guess. He came to Earth to conduct some stupid rabbit experiment.
Dude.
To see how many innocent dogs would chase them into the night and never frickin' return to their home.
There it is.
Sorry. I know, back to the script. So the Indrid Cold encounter matters because it breaks the cryptid frame. Now we're dealing with contact narratives, not animal sightings. Whether it's psychological projection or something else, the phenomenon expands. And apparently, dogs vanish.
Folklore has a name for figures like this. Tricksters. They don't attack directly, they destabilize. They appear polite, almost friendly, but wrong. That grin is important.
December 15th, 1967. Rush hour. The Silver Bridge failed in under 20 seconds. 32 vehicles fell. 46 people died. And afterward, something else happened. The sightings stopped. The Mothman vanished.
From an engineering standpoint, the cause is clear. A microscopic fracture. A non-redundant design. No mystery. But psychologically, that explanation feels incomplete.
Because randomness is harder to live with than omen. A crack in steel doesn't mean anything. But a warning? It sure as hell does.
Skeptics point to birds, sandhill cranes, barred owls. Pieces fit, but not all. No bird explains the chase. No bird explains the timing.
The most plausible explanation is composite misidentification. Different people saw different things. Media fused them into one entity, and fear did the rest.
And then there's John Keel. Keel didn't believe this was about aliens, he believed it was about control. Interdimensional intelligences, shapeshifters, masks. The Mothman wasn't a creature, it was a signal.
Keel's theory is modern demonology, different language, same structure. Entities that manipulate belief, not to destroy us, but to confuse us.
Today, Point Pleasant celebrates the Mothman. There's a festival, a museum, a statue of polished steel. The town didn't forget the trauma, it repurposed it. And maybe that's the final lesson of this case. Not whether the Mothman was real, but what we do when fear arrives before explanation. In Point Pleasant, West Virginia, a bridge collapsed. And afterward, we looked backward, searching for meaning. Maybe the creature wasn't a warning. Maybe it was just there. Maybe it was lost, afraid, and searching for its own answers. We'll likely never know what it was. But we do know the crack was real. We know the fear was real. The rest? Well, the rest seems pretty unreal. I guess it comes down to what you think is possible, what you think could possibly be real. This case remains unresolved.
The 2002 film The Mothman Prophecies, starring Richard Gere, was the primary inflection point that launched the legend globally. The Mothman has now fully escaped Point Pleasant. The original 1966-67 sightings are now the origin story. Mothman is no longer just a West Virginia cryptid. It is a modern migratory angel of death, reportedly seen before disasters at Chernobyl and even on 9/11. From a dark, wobbling figure on a lonely road, the Mothman has completed his transformation into a global myth.
Think the dog is okay?
I don't know, brother, but that episode freaked me the hell out. I don't need to be thinking about crap like this. Life is scary enough as is.
Indrid, my ass is cold. Stupid Trickster.